everyone, Kate Byers, founder of Corporate Women Unleashed. Today we are talking about stepping back from a hugely successful career. And if you are someone who is enjoying a enviable six-figure salary, an enviable position and title, you know what I'm talking about. You know when you get to that impasse that says, maybe it's time to just slow it down. Maybe I should step back because it's just gotten so hard to keep it up, right? To keep up the pace, to keep up the chasing all the things you have to chase, to take on the added responsibilities of your team, of being in senior management or working for senior management and being right at that cusp, right? It can really start to erode your joy in life. And at some point, what happens is that we all say, maybe I've had enough. Maybe I do just need to step back. Otherwise, I'm never going to be able to enjoy my success. And so we get to this really uncomfortable crossroads that's painful where you feel trapped. Do I step back and do I give up this lifestyle? Do I give up the impact I have and I know what I'm capable of? Do I give up the fulfillment and everything I've worked so hard for? Or do I keep going and bruising and cruising and hurting the people I love, being tired of being tired, and tired of hurting the people around us that care for us because we don't give them our full undivided attention. We're snappy with them, we're crappy with them, and we put our relationships on autopilot or our health, right? And so if you're caught in this uncomfortable, damned if I do, damned if I don't, I want you to listen in today because this is a really important topic. So should you step back? Only if, here, let's just answer the question, right? So first of all, if you've ever thought about stepping back, or if you're at that place where you're ready for a sabbatical, you're ready to just get in your car and start driving and never turn around and come back. You're at that point where you don't want to get out of bed in the morning and you're hiding under the covers. Just, put a 1 or put an A or something in the comments, right? Like we get it. And I think as women, we need to say, this is the reality. Those of us who are highly successful, this is the reality. At some point you hit this wall and the question is, what do I do? And what we normally do is we hit the wall, we rest, or we take a little, a long weekend, or we take a little vacation, we get a second wind, and then we keep going. And then you sprint, and then you drop, and then the burnout comes, right? And you hit rock bottom, and then you get a second wind, and then you keep going. Okay, that is no way to live your life. I did it for years. And it sucks. And it eventually leads you to just have absolute, you just completely just don't care about anything anymore. So this leads us to the question, should you step back? You step back if you're stepping towards something. Okay. And what I mean by that is if you're excited about what you're getting ready to do, like, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to stay home with my kids and I'm so excited and we're going to, make homemade popsicles and we're going to do mud pies and we're going to, I don't know, whatever you do with your kids, right? Like if you are truly excited about that, that's not stepping back. That's stepping towards something that you want. If you've always wanted to live out of a minivan and drive all across the southern United States and see every state park and it has been on your bucket list for decades, that's not stepping back. That's chasing a dream. So the answer to the question is, if you're chasing a new dream, go chase a new dream. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Chase a new dream. If you've always wanted to bake cupcakes and you're going to be a professional cupcake baker, bravo, do it. Okay. What happens though, is that as highly successful women, we are driving for years and years and years and decades. And what happens is that you continue to stack more and more responsibilities on yourself. You aren't working differently, which we'll get to in a minute. So you're still working like you did when you got out of college, and eventually you just blow out. And so what happens is you're like, I'm just going to step back. I just don't care. I don't care about the money. I don't care. I cannot tell you how many women we hear say that all the time to our team. I don't really care about the money. And look, I know you don't care about the money. You're not some, money grubbing, rich girl. But we are rich girls, and it's okay to be a rich girl, and it's okay to have a really healthy six-figure salary. Damn straight, woman, you earned it. So to say I don't really care about it, that's burnout. That is not you talking, because you didn't work this hard to be rewarded for the effort and say, I don't care anymore. Now, is it true that you would rather have whatever, your family or your health other than a big, huge paycheck? Of course. At the end of the day, obviously, if those were the only options to you, but it's not. Right? It just looks that way. And when burnout really starts getting in to your psychology, you just don't care. You're like, I don't care about the money. I don't care if I implode my career. I don't care how much I'm leaving on the table. I just can't do this for one bloody more second, right? How many of you guys have gotten there, right? Like raise your hand, put a B in the comments. B, that's happened to me. I remember one time I was so burned out and I flew so much. I was a BA, frequent flyer, gold, platinum, I don't know, whatever the heck they had, right? That they gave their top, people that were customers, like a free trip. They gave me a free trip anywhere in the world, that they had. It was like that, like where BA flew and there was like a Starwood hotel or something. I don't know. And I chose Maui. I was like, oh, cool. Never been to Maui. Don't know if I really care about going to Maui. I probably wouldn't pay for this trip on my own. So let's go to Maui. How awesome. I was going to go over Thanksgiving week. I was going to take my daughter. It was going to be so much fun. And you know what? Do you know what happened the Monday before Thanksgiving when that plane was taking off? Guess where I was? Sitting at home in my pajamas, petting my dog in my TV room, crying. I couldn't get on one more flight. I didn't even bother to cancel it. I didn't even bother to tell them I wasn't going. I just blew off the entire free trip. And all I wanted to do was just stay home. I just did not want to be on one more plane. I did not want to have one more thing to do. And so that's the type of thing that happens when burnout hits. You're just like, I don't even care anymore. And of course I care. Like if I came to you right now, well, especially now during COVID, who wouldn't want a trip to Maui if like we could actually go and it was safe and all that stuff. But you know what I mean? Like if I came and said like, here's this great vacation. It's got, $5,000 value or whatever it is. I'm just going to give it to you for free. Are you just going to be like, nah, I don't want it? Of course not. You're like, wow, that would be amazing. Hey, like that's going to be $5,000 extra dollars in my pocket that I don't have to pay for that. Right. Or that's like an amazing adventure I wouldn't go on. Nobody walks away from that because you consciously want to. Okay. So nobody walks away from a career because you consciously are like, yeah, I think it's time just to put this whole thing I've worked for decades out, just put it down. I'm done with this. We don't. That's burnout talking. So you have to understand, guys, if you're at that point where you're like, I just don't even care anymore, that is burnout talking and it leads to regret. Because once you make that leap, what happens is resentment. Now, I mean, believe me, the first month you're sitting at home in your pajamas and life is good, right? Like, oh, look at me. I can like read all these books and blah, blah, blah. I can learn a language and I can walk my dog or whatever. Yeah. A few weeks into it, you're getting pretty bored. And now you're getting the phone calls from some friends who are like, well, wait a minute, you walked away, but you're exceptional you. And, and then, yeah, no, it's okay. This is what I chose to do. It's okay. And you start with the coping mechanisms and you start telling everyone it's no big deal. But deep down, what happens is we're like, wow, I couldn't cut it. And that's the reality. That is the psychosis that takes over of feeling resentful, of feeling angry, of feeling like, a failure that you couldn't cut it, of watching everyone else that you went to grad school with continue to excel in their careers while you're stepping back. It is not a pretty scene, okay? And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm telling you, like, that's the reality. When I burn out and I moved to the islands, I gave away everything. I didn't have a garage sale. I had this beautiful, it was like an Anne Klein winter coat that I paid like ridiculous amount of money for it. I just like gave it to someone. She was like, really? I can have this? I was like, yeah. I was just like eschewing myself of all material wealth. Yeah, let me tell you, I wish I had that Anne Klein coat right now because it was a classic and I'd still have it. And I gave away everything. It was like now, all these years later. And then, I met my husband and he's like, why'd you give all that crap away? We need all that now. And I'm like, I know. I gave away everything except for one leather club chair. Everything else I just like got rid of because that was like what was overtaking me was burnout. Now, I would not have told you I was burnout. No, I'm doing this on purpose. No, this is going to be great. I'm having an adventure. No. So we don't want to just give up, ladies, okay? We don't want to give up the next promotion because we're scared of what it's going to look like. What we want to start doing is going, wait a minute, is there a different way to work, right? Is there a way to have this fierce career where you are well paid, highly successful, highly regarded, and start influencing how you work so that you can have a beautiful family life or a beautiful personal life or incredible interests. So you're more well-rounded and not just an automaton that works all the time, right? So you're taking care of your health. You don't have the middle-aged, tire around your middle, the muffin top, the chubby thighs and the whole thing that we don't want, right? Like you want what you want, which is you want to be healthy, you want to be fit, you want to be trim, you want to have incredibly deep connected relationships that you actually get to enjoy and live in that moment. You want to slow down the pace of life and savor the success. That's what you want. So it's not about stepping back, right? It's about that. And what that takes is changing your mindset. It's saying, wait a minute, how could I start working differently to get that effect? How could I learn to show up differently in my job so that I'm not working all these late nights? I'm not taking all the craziness home with me. I'm not overextending myself constantly. I'm not putting work in front of everything else in my life. And that is critical for you to understand that you don't have to do that. Now, well, what do you mean, Kate? I think everyone does this. No, they don't. I know, and none of our clients do, right? Like we're in the middle of COVID, and guess what we talk about on our client calls? And guess how often COVID comes up on our client calls? Never. Why? Because we're not living there. We're not living in chaos. We're not living in the stress. We're not living in what's not possible. We're living in what is possible. And I didn't get this for a long, long time. Because if you are highly successful, guess what you look for? Problems. And what you gravitate towards is problems and solving problems. And I get it, guys. Like this is what we're paid to do. Like we are badass. We come in and we solve these problems for our companies, for our teams, for our colleagues, for management, right? That is what we do. We're amazing at that. The problem with that is you've lived in the world of gaps and problem fixing for so long is that you can't even see the forest through the trees in this problem that you've created, which is you're working the wrong way. You're overworking. Women are doing this without fail. We've not been given another template. The only template we have to look at is what guys have been doing for decades. And to be honest, the guys aren't even happy with that anymore, right? My husband's like, there's no way I would work like my father did. He's like, that's ridiculous. I want to enjoy my sons. So what you have to look at is that model of working where you just kill yourself for your career, you slave away for the firm, doesn't work. Oh, but Kate, you don't understand. I work for a management consulting firm. That's what they do. Yes, they take advantage of highly successful people like us who have this DNA where we will kill ourselves for the firm until they burn us out. But you know what? It didn't have to be that way because we work with tons of women with management consulting and for management consulting firms who are now like, oh my God, Kate, my life is amazing, right? Now, I'm not saying that you're going to work for a management consulting firm and go in at 9 and come home at 5. And I'm not saying you're going to be an executive and work 9 to 5. Okay. It's not about working 9 to 5. It's about having control. It's about having influence. It's about understanding how to pace things out. It's about how to influence how the work gets done. It's about creating an environment where you're at your peak performance and your needs are getting met and you feel fulfilled and you can take advantage of the fact that you are in these senior leagues and you can take an afternoon to go hang out with the kids, or you can take a long lunch with your hubby or your partner or whatever. Like that's what it should feel like, guys. It should feel like I have control. It's not about I'm going to work for 4.5 hours a day and then I'll go figure out how to live my life. It's living your life in the mix of this really rich, complex, challenging career. That's fun. And that's not giving up your wealth. That's not giving up your lifestyle. That's not giving up your freedom. That's gaining more freedom while you continue to influence and have a really great career. And that's why so many women are stepping back. It's not just because, no one's rolling out the red carpet for us to go into the C-suite, right? Like that's hard enough, but we're not even setting ourselves up for that success because of how we're working. Does that make sense? So look, if you're thinking about stepping back and it's because you don't like where you're in, you're burning out, you're highly stressed, you're missing out on your private life, and you are someone who is a type A overachiever, you know who you are, you're highly successful, you're well paid for what you do, and you're terrified you're going to have to give up that salary and that lifestyle and that significance that you've created, that impact, then I want you to watch one of our free trainings. I want you to book a call with our team, and I want you to stop leaving life on the table. It does not have to be that way, right? And very simply, we can show you how to retrain how you work to continue to succeed at this level, even greater by being more influential in your work environment and getting more control over how you operate. And then life gets really fun, ladies. It really, really does. You don't have to suffer for your success 1 second longer. Make sense? All right, cool. So it's been great talking with you guys today. I look forward to seeing everyone in the comments. If you have a question, feel free to drop one in there and our team will come back and respond.